All right, and we're live about what? I'm here with Christian and Chris. We're about about maybe 10 minutes after the final whistle happened at the Estadio Azteca. America lose the second leg, obviously 1-2, but overall advance to the semis. Obviously, guys, not what we are expecting. Very I don't even think there's a word to describe it. Christian, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, have a good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are joining us in this very late edition of the podcast. Like Dylan said, there's no word to describe what we saw tonight. Thankfully we did enough in the first leg to kind of advance. But that second leg performance just it didn't convince me. It's not championship worthy. There's a lot of blame to go around from Tano. I think up to all the players. Was it they were overconfident or they just didn't show up tonight? There's a lot of things, but I think we were all in agreement that tonight was not an America worthy performance, and definitely a performance that is not inspiring us to lift the 14th this year.
Definitely agree with you, Christian. Chris, any words of off of your brain?
Uh, I will say I haven't felt this nervous, this disgusted in America in a very long time. I don't even think I felt like this against Pachuca. Like I think with Pachuca, you kind of already blamed Oscar Jimenez from the start. In this game, brother, all you need is one goal, and you're comfortable the whole game. Christian, in that group chat that we're in, I asked everyone, "Are you guys comfortable with this lead? Is this a comfortable lead?" And a lot of them said no. I felt that right away when I saw Israel Reyes get that red card. I said, I don't know if I could trust Araujo.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe to an extent, I'm not going to put the full blame on him because it was really a disaster all around.
Right.
But, brother, like, it shouldn't have been this ugly.
Yeah. No.
Like,
Definitely not.
leading up to, like, the first game, me and Ivan, we talked. Like, this is what the strategy from their side is going to do. They're going to try to do this. To me, it's too predictable what they're gonna do for us to just have this type of game. Like we talked about the final 14th. How do we not know that either Chivas, Atlas, or Toluca don't come and do something uglier to us? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, the blame is to go all like everywhere. You could blame it on everybody, even the water boys. Maybe they were dehydrated. I don't know, man. But point is, like, it's everywhere. And we look at Baños because this is like, okay, this is a problem that we've had since Piojo was here. Like, this is a lot of these problems been here, and for me, it's just very stressful. And you could hear it in my voice. I'm very frustrated, very just annoyed of this performance. Mind you,
Mm-hmm.
I do think Henry, Zendejas, Israel Reyes, they're gonna play in the semis. They're gonna be starting, but how much of a difference are they? Are they this? Are because like you pointed out, Henry was ghost in the first leg. How do I know that he's not ghost in the next games? You know, how do
Mm-hmm.
I know Sendejas is 100%, and how do I know Israel Reyes is that much of an upgrade?
Right.
So I'm very annoyed. I don't want to completely rant because I know that it's going to be an exaggeration if we come back and look completely different in the semifinals. But it's very concerning that a team like San Luis, with a predictable of style of play,
Mm-hmm.
could do this to us.
Right. I think this was what I was alluding to in our chat earlier that at halftime when I was like, I think a lot of this blame does go on Tano as well. Perfectly knowing that I think everyone could have kind of guessed what San Luis is going to do today. They were down, they needed to win 3-0 tonight, and it was pretty predictable that they were just going to go out because they have nothing to lose, right? It doesn't matter. They're already down by a huge deficit. So what do they have to lose in trying to play loose? Knowing that and you still don't adjust after the 1-0, that's fine. Okay, maybe they got a free goal. Okay, whatever. Let's try to go back into the game. Then after the 2-0, and you still don't do anything. So at halftime, you're like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's time to move this guy out, bring this guy in. You don't do nothing until the 60th minute. And to me, that just shows that Dano still does not know how to play these Liguilla games. And it's worrying because now when you get into the semifinal, no matter who you're going to face, whether it's Chivas, Atlas, Tigres, or Toluca, they're all not San Luis, and they're all gonna give you a hard time and put them in the position where San Luis was in. I think we're eliminated, and that's something that we need to figure out fast. And at this moment, I don't know if Donald's capable of adjusting because he just didn't show that tonight, and it's concerning, like you mentioned.
No, yeah, and I definitely agree with both of you too. But let's kind of backpedal here a little bit. Let's look at this game kind of in a sense from a whole too. Let's start with the first half because the first half was very piss poor. And I think Christian kind of hit it on the head too. You give up the first goal in the 18th minute, and you're just like, okay, kind of like whatever. And to me, I was kind of in that sense too, to where I was like, okay, obviously it was predictable. San Luis going to come out, try to punch us in the mouth, especially at home. And me and Ivan has always said, oh, whenever people are going to go against America, they're going to play their best because
Of course.
yeah, of course. And so we got that the first 20 minutes, no doubt, especially with that opening goal. And then I thought to myself after seeing that, I was like, okay, let's see how this team responds. And we didn't see the team respond at all. And then we give up the second goal in the 31st minute around there. And it's just like, okay, like this is crap at the end of the day. So just kind of overall, after those first 31st minutes, what's kind of going through y'all's head?
Real quick, because my mic, I don't know what was going on with my mic, but I was gonna ask you guys. I don't know. I'm sorry for not answering your question, but I just wanted to, before I lose my thought real quick. Uh, did you guys feel in this game? Hey, there's no depth that we were talking about. There's no one that you could look in the bench and say they're gonna go in. Like, yes, we had Henry, we had a Brian who ended up scoring, we had Sendejas, but at times, like you were talking about the adjustments, right? Did you think there's anyone that you say, okay, for example, the midfield was horrible. The midfield was losing everything to Villalpando, and who the hell is Villalpando to be winning these battles, you know? And in my head, I'm like, well, who do you put in to change this? There's no one in that midfield that you're comfortable putting in. If there's an injury, right? Because we talk about how important Fidalgo is and how important Richard is. If they're out, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with Jonathan Santos, and I'm not comfortable with Aquino. When I saw Aquino go in, I said, "Oh, here comes the third goal," because this guy is gonna lose the ball, and they're gonna score on us. It didn't happen, but I wasn't comfortable with it, and that's why I understand. At first, when we got into a little disagreement, at first when you were talking about Tano, but then I thought about it. Well, damn, you can't even put in your best players because you're not confident, and you're not, and it's not even like completely their fault either, because you need to bring out the best in them, not just them being good, you know.
Yeah.
So I agree completely with what you're saying about Tano, but it's just like, in my opinion, like we don't have a bench. We really don't have a bench as much as we were saying. Like in Liguilla, we don't have it. Like Viñas, for example, was horrible today. Now let's say Henry gets another injury. I seen people say, "Oh, an academy player would do better." An academy player needs to be developed into these situations, not debuted into these situations. Completely different thing, you know.
Yeah. Just a quick to add on to Chris before we get on to Dylan's question. Maybe adjusting, maybe in not playing player for player, maybe changing up the formation a little bit. Because at least like you said, in the first half was winning everything in the midfield. It seemed like
Hmm.
they were just getting overwhelmed. So
Right.
why not just add an extra midfielder in there, or maybe just drop Valdez back for a little bit, just to control the game a little bit, get the game going back into America's way. Because this is what we're talking about in I think it was in the San Luis preview,
What did I tell
or
you? What did
or
I tell you
that
about?
we're playing into San Luis's game and we're not playing our game.
Yeah,
And this
yeah.
is exactly what I said was going to happen.
And
That
remember what I told you. If you're Tano, do you put take out of Valdez and put it in Aquino to
that's what
let
I'm saying. Or
Richard,
take, yeah, exactly.
you
Put an
know,
extra
and it,
body in that midfield
you
and
know, it,
then
it,
work
it's
your way.
obvious that we just don't have that. You're right. Tano is a one-dimensional coach, right? Is it fair to say that if it doesn't go well
I
in the
think that
beginning?
he sticks to his formation, and that's been his Achilles heel, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's why one-dimensional, right?
Mm.
All right. All
So
right. Then what was the
yeah,
question again?
yeah. So no, yeah, no, yeah, no. These are all valid. It's all valid at the end of the day because this is very frustrating because, you know, you know, this is a very frustrating game overall because it's you don't get the same team you got from the first leg, and for some obvious reasons too, because like Henry's not 100%. Zendaya has two, and then you don't have Isra Reyes. But just looking at this first half overall, and I kind of recap what I was kind of talking about too, real quick again. The first goal comes, I was just kind of like not really too bothered by it. Maybe I should have been a little bit more bothered by it, but I was like, okay, like let's see how this team responds, because in some cases, this team has let it a goal, and it's okay. This team's respond plenty of times to getting one back, and responding in the right way. But this team didn't. This team was a whole different team, and so I just kind of wanted y'all's thoughts on the first half before I go into the second half, because I have a little bit of a different thoughts whenever it comes to the second half. Christian.
So the first half, yeah, I mean, like I think we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, there's no words to explain what happened there. It's just laziness, no concentration, no intensity, just being overwhelmed by San Luis and what they were doing, and what they were doing wasn't really much. It was just a lot of quick passes, and and trying to open up space, and it just didn't seem we knew how to counter that, or how to go about, or to adjust to it. And we 100% got completely caught off guard. And when the goals came, it just made everything much worse, because it just seemed like this team just didn't have any life in them. They looked defeated after that second goal, and no response, which I think was the most worrying part. That you
Yeah.
would have thought that maybe after the second goal, okay, you know what, guys, like we're one goal away, and it's all said and done. So let's pick it up a little bit. And you saw none of that from nobody. You didn't see it from Fidalgo. You didn't see it from Valdez. You didn't see it from Richard, Cabecita,
Right.
Viñas, Leo, nobody. And the players that you would think would show up in a moment like this didn't. And that's something that can't happen going forward.
Right. Yeah. To me, it just seemed lazy. It seemed lackadaisical. Chris, your thoughts on first half overall?
So personally, offensively, I wasn't as bothered. I guess you can say. I felt there was moments that we could have scored. I just felt the link up with Viñas was just horrible. Honestly, I think maybe it's just a style of play. Maybe it's a different chemistry that they have with Henry, or because I saw some plays where he would run straight, where instead of going back, where he would have been way more open, or just I don't know. It was just it wasn't as frustrating, but it was annoying that we weren't able to get the goal. The midfield pissed me off a lot because, like I said earlier, there is no reason Villapando should be beating Richard and Fidalgo as much as he did. I think there was too many balls that we lost that we just shouldn't be losing. But the defense is the ugly one in this situation, because look how alone they are in both goals, right? You look at Fuentes, and someone said he should not be playing in America anymore, and I agree completely.
Dude, Fuentes
Because,
got exposed tonight.
bro, you know what it reminded me of? Remember how ugly Paul Aguilar played? Paul Aguilar played in the last like games with us. Where what was that guy's name that played in Pumas that had the mullet? Mallorca, right? Or
Yeah, I think
Macorra,
so.
something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
He completely would burn him in that game against Pumas, and that's exactly how I saw this game with Fuentes. It's age, bro. Look, he's not a club legend. He's not nothing special like that. But he is a guy that he came in a Pumas canterano. Nobody wanted him. I hated that signing, but he came in and shut everyone up. Worked hard, did good, but Father Time is gonna catch up, and that's okay. It's okay. It's common sense. But like I said, this is where you start looking at the directivos, right? You don't play him all season because you don't want to extend them, right? So why aren't you going and get a better player? If we have to sign a Mexican player, okay, go and look for Arteaga. I know Mexican national team fans are going to be like, oh, leave them in Europe. We're talking club. Me personally, if we have to look for a Mexican player, go and look for an Arteaga. Go look for Omar Campos. Even a Gallardo, right? I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, Gallardo, this and that. Would you rather have a Fuentes right now or a Gallardo? Truthfully, we'd rather have a Gallardo, right? Because he's younger and he's at least a league type player. We don't need Marcelo in his prime. We just need a really good player. And in this guy Fuentes, like, he just gets burnt too much. It's his age. It's common sense. And he was very ugly. I know some people would probably say Layun. There's a play where Layun leaves who was on his side? It was
Murillo.
Murillo.
Hmm.
Bro, he gave him a whole long ass space alone, and he let him. He like luckily for us, like it wasn't a goal. But these are the type of stuff that me and a lot of people were sacrificing Lara. If that's the case, bro, go put in Lara. At least I know Lara's gonna catch up to him. You know,
Right.
like just a very very concerning game. And now we're gonna have to look at this is why I didn't want Atlas in the first round.
And it's a blueprint too for other teams not to expose
Oh
our
yeah,
weaknesses. And
yeah.
you're looking at teams like Atlas, like people like Quinones that can just destroy whichever side he plays on.
Look at what Lozano did to us in
What
the game.
Lozano
You
did,
know,
and then you have Tigres when you have Linus on one side, Cordova, you have Quinones, that's another threat on Chivas, Piojo, Alexis Vega. These are players that are better than Murillo and Vitinho and Bonatini, and they're gonna hurt you. So this is a blueprint that San Luis gave everyone else that's remaining in Liguilla, and now it's up to Tano to kind of adjust.
yeah. But to answer your question completely, like you guys said, laziness, not motivated, just completely lost. Like offensively, I wasn't as bothered as many because I do think they were moving the ball around. They just didn't have that link up with Vinas. That's all it was. Because that pass where Vinas is dribbling straight down the middle, he passes it back to Valdez, and if he gives Valdez that goal, that pass, it might be a goal. Who knows? But that pass just could have been a lot better. Like I said, a lot of these plays where he tried to close in, when he should have gone back, or when he should have closed in, he wasn't there. Like it just maybe it's just a chemistry thing, right? He hasn't really been playing with these guys in full minute games, right? Maybe, but for me it was very concerning. And if Henry doesn't start the next game, well, we don't even know completely what's going on with Henry. He came out looking like Raul Jimenez, which that scared me personally. For me, it was just like, what's wrong with his head? That he has to wear a headgear. Like, what? How bad was this injury?
Yeah.
Because he didn't even go on concussion protocol or anything. So I'm very personally, I became
Yeah.
very concerned on that. But
And also, when you made the first subs, and you're thinking that if it's not a double sub, it's only Henry, and Henry didn't even come in until the 80th minute.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
but you say he's fine, and he passed all tests,
yeah,
but you're not playing him in dire situations.
yeah, yeah.
It's definitely
Right.
concerning, and I
Right.
hope we get answers either tomorrow or Monday, because
Right.
there's something going on.
Yeah. So let's start there. We'll work our way into the second half now. So first half ends. We go into halftime, and I think at this point, obviously, you're down 2-0, and you obviously just need to go and obviously control the game to see it out, even if you go down in the Azteca, losing 1-2 in this leg. But I think at this point you're just like, okay, this is a break in case of emergency type of glass where you got to be like, okay, like we need Henry, we need Zendejas, at least at most. And so you're obviously going to want to see these substitutions, but we come out in the second half making no substitutions until about 10 minutes later. Is that kind of a concerning sign for anybody that you don't make those substitutions right away, but you wait another 10 minutes before you actually do?
It is, and as what I was saying earlier, how Thanos needs to learn how to adjust to these games
Yeah.
and read the moment, read the situation. Your team is not playing well. San Luis is starting to gain a little more momentum again, and they're pushing for that third goal. So try to do something to swing it back into your favor. These players aren't going to give you anything different, so why keep insisting? Do something else. Put a fresh player in there, fresh legs, fresh ideas. Do something, but we just didn't get that from him tonight.
Maybe like he thought I could adjust what they're doing wrong and tell them what to do, and I'll give them the time. But honestly, like it for me, a lot of things we did get better in this. Like I know we're gonna get into that, but we did get a little bit better in the second half when it comes to the midfield. But like for you guys, what was the most concerning position in the first half? For me, it was the midfield. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but me personally, if it's the midfield is the issue, I don't think you make immediate subs right away. I think you kind of gotta let Richard and Fidalgo kind of go, get into more rhythm, and maybe that's what his thought was. But for me, like I wouldn't move that because once the midfield gets going, you do see those opportunities, right? And that's what we ended up seeing later on. So maybe that was the thought that he had, or just kind of let Fidalgo and Richard go, and then eventually we'll find the goal.
Yeah, but 10 minutes though, like it kind of seems a little pointless to me. Like I don't think 10 minutes is necessarily a long time in this situation when they're considering you're down 2-0 and you need to control the game. I don't to me I just feel like you needed to make something at that point in time at halftime, even if it's just one sub.
Yeah, yeah, I
Agree.
hear you, but at the same time, you kind of have to like let it develop. You know, if it's the same thing you see in the first half, then like yeah, you have to do the subs right away. But if what if things do change, right? You kind of got to let it flow instead of moving things around and then they're back to square one.
Right. Right. Which I get. I mean, and then obviously too, the first sub we get is Zadeja comes on for Leo Suarez. So and then from there, that's whenever we get Rodriguez for Cabecita. But it's just so frustrating overall because it's just like even with those subs, it just didn't seem like a whole lot changed. I mean, I think some
Yeah.
things changed in a sense, but it's just not the change that you wanted considering the situation.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I don't think Brian and Zendejas came into this game ready to play. I didn't really see much difference, regardless of the goal that he scored, but it just kind of seemed much of the same thing. Um, and that's that. I mean, obviously coming off of injury and not playing for a bit, Zendejas. So I do understand it a little bit, but I would have liked to see him a little more focused, a little more because he was losing a lot of balls, not tracking back, making weird passes that trying to force a lot of things. It's not very Sendejas esque, and hopefully it was just because of lack of playing time recently. But it just wasn't the performance I was hoping to see from him.
And to add to the concerning things, I don't know if you guys heard during the commentary, like they were talking about like Yoon and him throwing like or like pushing each other, yelling at each other, like
So
that's
I
concerning.
saw on a throw in where Layun was telling someone to go, but I thought that was Vina. I thought he was talking to Vinas because I saw Vinas ask for the ball, like, here, place
Yeah,
it, play me, and Layun didn't play him. He played Sendejas instead, and then that's when I saw Layun get a little bit upset. But I thought that was at Vinas, not
yeah,
Sendejas.
yeah. It's still concerning though, because like they can't show frustration like this.
Right,
And
exactly. They're
and then
losing.
like you had
Mhm.
the captain like armband, you know, like he can't do that. He
Yeah,
can't
no.
be he
Hmm.
out of everyone in that field is the one that shouldn't be losing his head. He's
Right.
the one that should be telling everyone calm down, stay focused, you know?
Hmm. I
And
Right.
agree.
that's very
Right.
concerning to me
I
because
agree.
it's like how are you gonna lose your head? How are you gonna be like even if Sendejas is yelling at you, you gotta tell him calm down, calm down. We're gonna score. We're gonna do something right. That's very concerning to me.
Yeah,
And
of
they even
course.
said it like maybe this is a locker room thing. I don't think so. I think it was just
The
the
heat of the
stress.
moment, the
Yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't think it's anything deeper, but it's still concerning that what if we go again in these type of
That's what I'm
games, right?
saying.
We can't have those moments because they're
Yeah.
gonna say, "Oh, those guys are stressed. Let's go and attack that side of the field," and they're gonna beat us if we're that nervous, that out of our like our mindset isn't there, you know?
No, yeah, no, yeah, I definitely agree, and that's the thing too, especially whenever you play for this institution, the standard is very high, and if you're not going to play to that standard, then you're going to get a lot of backlash, which is happening right now, obviously, because nobody's necessarily happy with the way this game's gone, even though obviously uh the objective was to get through this to at this point in time to get through the semifinals, and then we'll take it to the next step, but God, playing at this level, the way this team has throughout the 90 minutes is really concerning, and that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, no, it's we're gonna have to adjust, and I think this is where you're gonna see if Donald learned how to play these games. No matter who the opponent is, I don't care who it is, you're gonna have to come out different. On leg one away, you have to once again show that we were the best team in the league, that we were the best offensive team in the league, that we can adapt to situations even when we look so vulnerable, that we still gonna come out and look dangerous. And if we don't get that in the first leg, it's gonna get very scary for us come next Saturday. But I have faith. I know maybe right now isn't the best time to give in these pep talks, but I think that we have enough to to get a good, I guess, read on the situation and what happened, and kind of come out with better attitudes from everyone in the semifinals.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not. Like on the bright side, Henry starts right, and you see the
Where we hope
important.
at least.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, anything could happen, right? But we have to look at it from just an optimistic standpoint. What gets better in the next game? Well, Henry Martin's maybe gonna most likely gonna. We don't know what's wrong with his head, what the injury is, right?
Hmm.
Maybe it's just them being super safe. They see what happened to Tua in football, and I know it's not the same sport, but still, either way, you have to be careful with all those things. Maybe it's just
Right.
right. So he comes back. Israel Reyes, you could completely tell that he was missed, right? Even though Israel Reyes has moments where you're just like, bro, what are you doing? Like he comes back, and then Sendejas, I think Sendejas and Los Suarez, I'm okay with either one. Los Suarez didn't have the greatest game, but he does give you that comfort. So if it's Leo or it's Sendejas, I'm comfortable with both. You know, so like whoever it is, maybe Sendejas a little bit more because he does bring the goal. He brings goal and he brings assists. He's more creative and
Right.
he's able to move around more. But even if it's Los Suarez, I'm still a little bit comfortable with it.
Hmm.
Maybe and style. This is gonna be a different team, two different styles too, right? So hopefully we could get it together. The only thing that another thing that does concern me is you give this type of performance at home. Like that's not okay either. We had a great crowd today.
We did.
We had a great crowd today because if this was like the Pachuca game, the crowd would have been against the team, and we don't want that, right?
Right.
But it was the opposite. They were cheering on the players, like, come on, let's do it." So we need that. So we can't have another performance like that at home. You know, whoever it is, we next round we gotta take our business away, take our business at home. No, no, no. This. Oh, we're gonna be the comeback kids, or oh, here comes the other team. We're too comfortable. No, 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 none of that. Dano has to realize, like, hey, I gotta bring like light a fire up their ass, and they need to go and perform, or else, like you said, another team finishes off completely, and we can't have that.
Yeah. No, this is gonna be a very interesting week for us. Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There's still a lot to play out too, and
Hmm.
I want to bring this up. I sent this to y'all just now in the Twitter chat, our Twitter chat,
Hmm.
but and obviously I didn't get to listen to the whole video. I just got to see what Donald said in his press conference. But he said, "Para conseguir la gloria hay que sufrir."
No, I don't
So,
like that.
And
so yes, but okay, continue.
no, and that's the end of the tweet right there.
Hmm.
And but I don't really agree with that at all.
Uh, okay, so obviously, in a perfect world, right? You're always going to be leading, and you're always going to have control of the game, and you're always going to be on top, right? That's in a perfect world. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world, right? And I think in all of our times watching our teams win championships, there hasn't been a time where we weren't suffering or we weren't against the wall, or or it seemed like the other team was just ganging up on us and looking more dangerous. It's gonna happen. It's life, but not in this way though. You can't be so vulnerable to a team that, with all due respect, shouldn't even be in Liguilla. And the fact that you went into your home, like Chris said, and you thought that this series was wrapped up, it's just a lack of concentration, lack of professionalism, and not a good quality to have when you're trying to chase a championship. So yes, you are going to suffer in moments of the game, but you shouldn't be suffering to the point where a team that's very inferior to you is about to eliminate you, if that makes
Right.
sense.
No, yeah, no, and I
Mhm.
definitely agree, and that's the frustrating part. Like I can get in a sense to where you know you're gonna face adversity in the game, but it's just how you respond to it too. And if you're gonna show something, if you're gonna show heart for me in a game, then that to me that's like in a sense like I don't know if this makes sense, but like a good suffering because you're working for it and everything like that. But it just didn't seem like they worked for it enough for me to suffer the way that how horrible it went today.
The reason I don't agree with what he's saying is because look how comfortable we got in the first game. You lose concentration. That's what it was, right? Like, do you sit here and say San Luis was a billion times better than us because of what they did to an extent? Yes, right. But if everyone is concentrated, we easily score one early, and this game is a wrap. And it wasn't. We suffered for just it just didn't seem like we should have suffered this much. It shouldn't be one of those things where it's like we're talking about this guy, this guy, this guy. Like for me, I was already thinking, oh, we might have to have a cleanup this upcoming season, right? This upcoming transfer window because we got Concacaf Champions League, right? So like some people gotta go if that's the case because once we're looking at from a Champions League perspective, like we're talking about World Cup of Clubs, we're talking about this and that, we're talking about a lot of things that maybe in our region isn't as important, but it is important if you really look at it from the whole football world scale.
Right. No. Yeah, Chris, you're definitely hitting the spot on, man. But man, we've been kind of going for about 30 minutes here now. Guys, I know we don't want to keep y'all up too. Christian, I know it's already past going on past 2 for you. It's already past 1 for
Two in
me,
the
Chris.
morning.
Yeah, Chris, it's just past 11 for you. So I mean, how y'all feeling? Y'all still want to keep this going? Y'all ready to wrap it up
Oh,
or?
I'm down. I'm
Up to you guys. I mean, I have a couple more thoughts, I guess, about the kind of suffering. Um, this is maybe a point I kind of want to make in relation to last Liguilla. Um, so we caked walk, but like Puebla didn't even show themselves. Like it was there were no contests, right? So America never felt that sense of urgency until we were losing to Toluca. Do you think that maybe now that we've lived this kind of pressure in this kind of situation, that we'll be more prepared come the next round, to kind of prevent ourselves from getting in the situation?
so I'll say this: every Liguilla for what since the final against Monterrey, maybe
Yeah.
Okay.
we've had an ugly game, right? An ugly moment, an ugly game.
Yeah.
Maybe we got it out the way,
I can
right?
remember when we won the chip in 2018 and the first leg against Toluca, we let Alexis Vega tie it up in the
Yeah,
90th minute.
yeah. Took out
Yeah.
three guys. So maybe we got the ugly game out the way. Remember, I had this conversation with you guys a while back. Is it better for us to play repechaje so we don't have to deal with this? Oh, you miss a week and everyone's out of rhythm. Maybe it's that, right? Who knows? But for me, we got to look at it maybe from a positive perspective. Maybe we just got the ugly game out the way, and now maybe we get a Chivas next round, and now the mindset isn't even the final. It's a clásico. You have to. We already have the mindset of every time we have a Chivas game that every clásico you have to win. So
Right.
maybe from that perspective, it's a good thing, right? Who knows? Maybe it's just an ugly moment, ugly game that we always have, and now we're past that. This time we didn't get eliminated. Now we could go forward, and maybe we see a different team. Who knows, right? I think if Tigres has an ugly game tomorrow against Toluca, which they had a 3-1 lead too, maybe we're looking at this game a whole different. Maybe we're kind of being like, okay, it's not just as happens to everybody. We could go forward, right? Uh, I send a quote right now to the group chat.
Hmm.
It was Tano, where he says, es bueno recibir una cachetada que demuestre que si no estás concentrado los 90 minutos, no es la forma de conseguir los objetivos. Perfect quote for me, right?
Right.
Like we're saying, like maybe this is just an ugly game, and now we're able to adjust and be ready, right?
Let's hope he learns how to adjust.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the thing.
Or
That's
even
the main
from a
thing.
concentration standpoint, right? Maybe we
Sure.
don't adjust, but we're a way more concentrated team, and when we're concentrated, no one's touching us, right?
Right.
Maybe. We will see what happens, right? But personally, like I agree. Maybe this is just a ugly game, and then we're just gonna be good the rest of the league.
Well, let's hope so because it's been what? How long since we lifted the title?
Since 2018,
Yeah, 2018. Yeah,
we're going on 5 years. Yep, exactly 5 years.
yeah,
5 years,
5 years.
and
Yeah,
the
5 years.
pandemic made it feel 20. right?
Yeah, I'm sure once we find out who our opponent is, we'll go more into depth. So I don't want to get myself too ahead
Too ahead, yeah.
of what's going on, but just I guess the kind of closing thoughts on tonight. I hope that, like Chris said, this was the one game where everyone got a reality check that we're in Liguilla and that we're not gonna win this championship just by cakewalking. That there's gonna be moments to suffer, but it's how you handle them and how you overcome it. And tonight we didn't see that from any of the players. So I hope that Donald really gives it to them and tells them, listen, guys, if you guys really want this, then you're gonna have to go and fight because no one's gonna give it to you. Not just by wearing the shirt. We're gonna go lift the title, and I don't care how maybe better you are than every team that's remaining. You're gonna have to go out there and play. So let's, I guess, kind of maybe calm down a little bit of what happened tonight and just look positive and try to take the good things that could come out of this. Hopefully.
Yeah, which I mean, I definitely agree with you because um, it's one thing to react right after something so frustrating that you just watched, just to like look back at it like 2 or 3 days from now, and then just realize, okay, maybe it wasn't so bad. But then, especially when you look at it the long term, depending on how this season ends, and just be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, we could definitely forget about that because we got the outcome we wanted at the end of the day.
Right.
So that's where we're at this point in time.
So, Dylan, you wanted to talk about the second half, and I want to hear what your perspective was on that.
I kind of agree with you whenever you mentioned it. And I say this lightly. I don't want this to be taken out of context, but I thought the second half was a tad bit better. Was better in some ways. Um, I felt like we were more active going forward. And so I liked what I saw a lot better. But at the end of the day, it was still frustrating because you needed that goal. You needed some type of momentum, considering the momentum that San Luis had, even though obviously they never scored again. But I liked it better because it seemed like we turned up the intensity and the urgency by like 1%, and I'm just like, okay, well that's just better than going backwards or just staying, at the same level. It seemed like it got better in a sense, in some ways. So
Yeah, I felt the same way. I think also another positive thing, right? I think we got to kind of point out some positives that we kind of probably don't notice. Another coach maybe says we're gonna park the bus, we're gonna suffer, and we're gonna go with this tie in a 3-3, right? We looked for the goal. It wasn't necessary, right? Maybe it's like if it is necessary based on who we are, but it wasn't necessary based on the score. I think another coach probably says we're gonna suffer. We're gonna put in all these defenders. We're gonna send everyone back, and we're gonna just suffer and let them just shoot it and hit the defenders every single time. We adjusted. We kind of for their counterattack. It's probably some coaches don't do that, right? Because they did break through sometimes, and I'll say Cáceres had a better second half. I think there was
Mm-hmm.
some counterattacks that if it was Araujo, that's a goal, and Cáceres was on point on going back and stopping that play.
Yeah.
I think that's
What a
something.
turnaround season from him.
Yeah,
yeah,
and he started the game ugly. There was a play where he almost gave up a goal, but obviously like he was just on point in some of these counters, and that's what we need, right? And like I said, to point out a bit of a positive is another coach says, you know what, we're gonna suffer, we're gonna track back, we're gonna just chill. No, we looked for the goal and we got it, and maybe from that extent, he's right that we gotta suffer a bit, right? We suffered a lot, not a bit, but we suffered a lot, but we still ended up looking for goal. And one thing is that we always end up finding goal for whatever reason this season, right? A lot of these ties happen because we're able to have ugly games and still end up finding the goal.
Right.
yeah. I definitely agree. But here we are. We finally get the goal though, like pretty late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, how do y'all? I guess kind of winding down here too. How do y'all feel about Henry's presence in like the last 7 minutes? I mean, the guy seemed like he hardly even played. Did he even touch the ball? I don't even remember him touching the ball.
Henry.
Yeah,
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure she's the one that gave the pass to Valdez, who then shot it, and then that's where the rebound came, and then Brian came in and scored the goal. Am I mistaken there?
I believe that's how it went. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Besides that play,
Mm.
yeah, I don't think he was noticeable.
The thing I
But
will say
it
is
does
that
show you that in just one moment like that, it could cause a kind of opportunity of goal, which is what is needed. And just his presence alone, I guess, is something that defenders have to worry about more. Because I don't think they were really worrying about being as that much as if Henry were on the pitch.
I'll say this: Henry is better off the ball than Vinas is. He's better at. During the Olympics, I gave this comparison because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, why did they call up Henry to the Olympic squad?" Henry is identical, maybe not complete like 100% identical, but he's a very similar player to Oribe Peralta. He knows what he's doing when it comes to pulling his mark and leaving everyone else open. And one thing that I saw from him in those little minutes that I saw Viñas really struggling with was tracking back and helping his defenders, and we needed that desperately
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the times we got unnecessary one-on-ones that we did not want, and we need someone that's able to track back and go be that second body that maybe doesn't touch him, right? Doesn't touch the attacker, but his presence is there, and they lose focus on the guy in front of him, and he brought
Right.
that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So maybe from like old like passes and all that, maybe he didn't show himself for all that, but when it comes to the little things off the ball, you could tell the difference.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. It's just that I just found it kind of odd in a sense, I guess you could say. That how late Henry came on, considering how we were
Of
seeing
course.
we were seeing the cut-ins on the broadcast of him warming up and everything, because you're wondering the whole time, well, when's Henry coming in? What's Henry coming in? Because you knew he was warming up. It was just a matter of when is he coming in, and I think
Yeah.
that's the question everybody had, and especially now with him wearing the headband and everything, you just kind of wonder to yourself, how serious is this injury, and and how close to 100%, if he even touches 100% when it comes to the next series.
Right. These are questions I hope we get in the near future, because we're gonna need him, and as much as we need Henry, no matter how badly he plays, like I called him out in the first game. Just with his presence alone, I think it gives defenders another headache, and that just works to our advantage.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. Well, we're here we are, guys. We obviously dropped the second leg 1-2, but obviously still advanced to the semis. But I can't think of anything else much to talk about, guys. Is there anything else y'all want to say? Something maybe we need to talk about?
I think after we all cool down a little bit, I think when we convene for the start of the semis, we'll touch on it a little bit more. But for right now, I think that we've said it, or at least I've said most of the things I've wanted to say and that have come to my head.
Chris?
Yeah, same here. I think the only thing I will say is Malagon can't be our eraser all the time.
Yeah,
Not that he had an awful game, because I think the goals are not his fault,
the second
But
goal could have done a little better.
yeah, but yeah, you're right. But what I will say is, for the longest time, we kind of crucify the goalkeeper a lot,
Hmm.
and I think these guys can't do it all.
No,
And these are the situations where you're just like, someone on defense, please step up, because it can't be one of these games where it's the goalkeeper doing everything and then he doesn't save one, and we're going to sit here and bash the goalkeeper like we've done with Ochoa and we did with Oscar Jimenez and we
hmm
done with Marchesín, or we've done with whoever, right? There comes a time where you got to sit back and say, okay, we need a leader. We need a Aquivaldo Mosquera. We need a Pablo Aguilar. We need
right,
a Bruno Valdez before his injury. Those type of things. We need that.
right.
Even Aguilera, when he first came out the club, he wasn't that bad. He was that guy
No,
that would step up, right?
hmm
We need that. We need that from Israel. We need that from Araujo. We need that from Cáceres. We need that from Layun. We need that from whoever's back there. We need that, right? Because if we don't have that leadership presence in the defense, stuff like this happens. Goals like that, communication happens, right? And like I
Of
said,
course.
we crucified the goalkeeper way too much when in reality it's always the defense that's giving up these goals.
And unfortunately, I think this is another Liguilla where if we don't win, it'll most likely be because
Yeah,
of our defense.
yeah,
Yeah.
Once again.
and that's where we're gonna have. I mean, it's a little spoiler. Me and Christian are gonna talk a lot about transfer window, transfer rumors, transfer fantasy, whatever you guys want to call it. But we're gonna probably touch a lot on the on potential center backs or fullbacks that could bring that leadership presence, right?
Mm-hmm. Coming in the summer. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, well, stay tuned, guys. America survives another week into the semis. They go, which you know, we're I guess in this, we're happy about obviously because we get to see our favorite club play some football some more. But obviously just not the outcome, especially at home turf that we're not excited about. But thank you to those who stayed up and are in the chat, especially at the Antonio Martinez. Eddie, I see in the chat they were the most active. I know we had a couple others. I'm gonna scroll back up to give them a quick shout out. We had Angel, Crew Epicness, uh, Septile _7. We had a Midwestern Cholo. I like that. I like that a whole lot. Jose Sepulveda. Yeah, so thank y'all so much for staying up with us this late. Obviously, Christian, I know it's going on 2:30 for you. Chris, it's already almost 11:30, and it's 1:30 for me here in Texas. But guys, yeah, thanks for coming on this late to give a quick reaction to that second leg. And oh, there you go, Antonio Martinez. Cheers from Illinois,
There you
y'all.
go.
So there you go. Thank y'all so much for joining, guys. Any last words from y'all?
No, just once again, thank you guys for staying up with us. This was fun. The podcast, not the game, but once again, top four in the league, going to semifinals. Just another more round to the 14th. I know we're all pretty upset right now, but hopefully things will get better for us in the very very near future.
Yeah, Chris.
Nah, man, I think we've said everything. I think we're completely cool off now. I thought we were gonna end up arguing, but that's what I was expecting. I was about to be like, "Oh, I'm not at the nah," but reality is everyone had blame, and I think I think this therapy talk helped us out a lot,
Yeah.
and hopefully we don't have this conversation.
See you guys next week though for the preview of the semifinal.
Yeah,
that's
Ivan will leech off on his frustrations as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, because Ivan's gonna listen to this and just be all like, "Okay, this is what y'all said wrong. Here's what I think." Because it's always what Ivan says. It's never what we say. But yeah, definitely stay tuned, guys. Ivan, Chris, and Christian will bring y'all the preview and probably another slight short recap, but mostly Ivan's recap of this second leg. I'll probably be too busy at work to be joining y'all for that. But anyways, guys, thank y'all so much for joining us, and we'll catch y'all all on the flip side.